A startling scene unfolds as the planet's final male is connected to a dairy apparatus. In the near future, humanity faces annihilation, threatened by a mysterious contagion exclusively targeting men. Its onset is swift, causing immense exsanguination and immediate demise. Within mere weeks, every male globally perishes, compelling women to cremate the deceased. 8 years subsequent, an entity named Wellness exercises complete authority over a matriarchal society. Despite the recent cataclysm, these women have adapted, cultivating existence in a world devoid of men. While the primary societal challenge remains the inability to perpetuate their lineage, the organization, under Lane's direction, resolves this by utilizing cryogenically preserved sperm from archival biobank facilities. The narrative centers on 3 intimate companions: Jamie, a woman mourning the loss of her spouse and progeny; Pip, an ebullient and sanguine individual employed by Wellness; and Alex, a defiant and vehement critic of both the organization and its chief. Residing in New Zealand, the trio operates a dairy enterprise raising livestock. One day, like other community members, they assemble in the common hall for a formal gathering presided over by Lane. Soon, Lane announces the day's lottery, which will determine which women are granted the opportunity for conception. Alex expresses skepticism regarding Lane's assertions of an improved world, believing their society to be far from ideal. Pip attempts to pacify her, but Alex impulsively seizes Pip's green beverage and hurls it at Lane, blemishing her immaculate white attire. This transgression demands immediate punitive action. Consequently, Constable Constance apprehends Alex and escorts her to an internment chamber. Left solitary, Alex persistently provokes the law enforcement official, though for them, it's merely a diversion. She and Constance engage in a clandestine romantic affair, meeting for mutual gratification. Concurrently, the women in the hall continue with the procreation lottery. After several fortunate recipients, Jamie hears her designation called, realizing she now has the prospect of becoming a parent. Unhindered by any impending circumstances, Alex and Constance engage in intimacy and deliberate their weekend schemes. Their private moment is cut short by Lane's intrusion, who is perplexed as to why the constable secured the door from the interior. Recognizing the urgency, the officer of the law fulfills her duty, administering an exhilaration capsule, a transient mood-enhancing agent employed illicitly, to Alex's posterior cranium. A few days subsequent, Constance escorts Alex back to the farm, reminding her comrades that Alex still requires care due to the capsule embedded in her neck. Lacking the consistent time or capacity to attend to Alex, the friends secure her to the bed, awaiting her recuperation. Later, Jamie proceeds to the fertilization clinic, where she discovers she must undergo several additional procedures before motherhood is possible. A medical examination reveals she cannot carry a male fetus, as the virus would claim its life in utero. Simultaneously, Pip, while working in Lane's office, inadvertently overhears a discourse between her and a physician. Pip discerns that the organization's leader harbors clandestine information but pledges discretion. Shortly thereafter, Alex awakens, realizes she has been restrained, and effortlessly liberates herself. She observes some written instructions and complies with the directives left by her friends. They instruct her to consume food, perform dental hygiene, and extract the exhilaration capsule from the nape of her neck. Meanwhile, Jamie visits a sex worker for a few hours. Missing her departed husband, Jamie persuades the woman to don his hat and jacket. Overwhelmed by poignant recollections, Jamie visualizes her deceased spouse, Jackson, and engages in simulated coitus with him, subsequently discussing her impending pregnancy. In the evening, the friends return home to discover Alex absent and the lavatory splattered with blood. Her disappearance perplexes them, and they remain unaware that she has visited her mother. The elderly woman, with a mood-altering capsule implanted in her cranium, remains oblivious to her environment and devoid of emotion. Following her visit to her mother, Alex returns to their abode and smears posters of Lane with blood. The friends resolve to locate her in an aged SUV, but en route, they collide with an object. Initially, they presume it's a goat, but quickly ascertain it's a human form. Jamie fears it might be their comrade, but Alex, having just returned, doesn't comprehend the situation. Flipping the body over, the friends are astonished to unearth what may be the Earth's last surviving male. Endeavoring to confirm this, they tug at his beard. The man revives, lunging at the women, who then strike his head, rendering him unconscious once more. Pip, Jamie, and Alex drag the man into the barn to determine their next course of action. Pip, as a devoted employee of Wellness, suggests surrendering him to Lane, cautioning that failure to do so could result in perpetual exhilaration as punishment. Jamie and Alex disregard their friend's counsel and opt to retain the man, as he requires urgent medical attention. The friends extract a pointed object from his leg and stem the hemorrhage, though Pip faints at the sight. The subsequent morning, the friends awaken to the arrival of Michelle, Lane's subordinate, who has come to evaluate Jamie's welfare and her aptitude for motherhood. Jamie implores Pip not to mention the man in the barn, fearing it could jeopardize her opportunity to become a mother. Pip reluctantly concurs but fails to convincingly fabricate during the interrogation. Throughout the dialogue with Michelle, Pip and Jamie exhibit evident nervousness, struggling to articulate answers to seemingly straightforward inquiries. Following a brief exchange, Michelle proposes an inspection of their dairy operation at the barn, a suggestion that fills Jamie and Pip with dread, as they are concealing the sole surviving male on Earth, an act with potentially severe repercussions. Concurrently, Alex examines the man's possessions, ascertaining his identity as Bob. He originated from a quarantine zone, an area where no survivor should exist, yet this is not what unsettles her. Among his effects, she uncovers a newspaper clipping featuring her mother's photograph, which causes Alex disquiet. Upon regaining consciousness, Bob attempts to depart the barn, but Alex obstructs his exit. Attacking the man, she employs every measure to keep him away from Michelle. Bob, possessing greater physical strength than Alex, begins to choke her, but she manages to incapacitate him with a taser. Concealing his form, Alex feigns a state of exhilaration, eliciting sympathy from Michelle for her companions. Later, Alex returns to interrogate Bob, having bound him. She endeavors to comprehend his interest in her mother, but Bob declines to communicate with anyone other than the scientist. Alex clarifies that this is unfeasible, as the scientist was declared mentally unstable 4 years prior. Her persistent discourse about surviving men led to her being subjected to permanent exhilaration. Alex threatens Bob with an identical fate, vowing to implant a capsule in his neck, but at a certain juncture she envisions her mother's countenance, realizing such treatment is unjust. She destroys the exhilaration capsule and endeavors to foster a more amicable rapport with Bob. Consequently, he divulges the existence of other surviving men, astonishing Alex. Meanwhile, Jamie returns to the artificial insemination facility and discovers her application has been denied. Plunging into despondency, she contacts Pip to convey the disheartening news. Pip resolves to intervene and approaches Lane, asserting that Jamie is a resilient and deserving woman who would make an excellent mother. Lane interprets Pip's attempt to contest Michelle's judgment as a sign of mistrust in her colleague, which could result in disciplinary action. Soon thereafter, Jamie is removed from the roster of prospective mothers, permanently forfeiting her chance at maternity. Devastated by this turn of events, Jamie determines to undertake drastic measures. She proceeds to the barn and solicits Bob to provide biological material for fertilization. She dances provocatively before him and disrobes, but Pip intervenes, imploring Jamie not to debase herself and succumb to irrationality. Pip pledges to resolve the predicament independently. Rushing to the barn, Pip connects the last man on Earth to the milking apparatus to extract his semen and deliver it to Jamie. Concurrently, Alex initiates her own inquiry to expose the organization, unaware that Bob is being pursued by a woman intent on eliminating him. The following morning, Pip returns to the barn to request Bob's biological material once more. The man refuses on principle, feeling he is being treated as an animal. Pip, secretly harboring both empathy and sexual attraction, proposes a compromise. He will provide the biological material if they permit him to shower. Later, Jamie and Alex visit the store, where they encounter a woman who was also denied fertilization despite winning the lottery. She grapples with the rejection but respects the company's verdict, which greatly exasperates Alex. Pip escorts the man to the shower, controlling him with a stun gun and refusing to unbind his hands, deeming him hazardous. Bob reluctantly assents and proceeds to the lavatory, aware that Pip is observing him. Having fulfilled his part of the agreement, the man fills a receptacle with his semen. When Jamie returns home, Pip discreetly furnishes her with the biological material, attempting to conceal it from Alex. Later, Alex goes to the barn to cultivate a friendship with Bob. She offers him a sandwich and alcoholic beverages, but she becomes inebriated first, losing control of the circumstances. Believing they have become close confidants, the naive and trusting Alex liberates Bob. The man seizes this opportunity to attempt an escape, but he falls face first into a cowpat, realizing he is too feeble for a solitary journey. Bob returns to the barn and apologizes for his actions. That evening, Jamie utilizes the insemination tube, only to recall the store employee. Showing compassion, she decides to sacrifice the biological material and anonymously deposit it at the woman's residence. The next morning, Pip brings Bob breakfast and recognizes her desire for sexual intimacy with him. Struggling to suppress these impulses, she proceeds to the organization's office. There, she learns that the store worker confessed and surrendered the biological material, but was still punished with a shot in the back for exulting. Meanwhile, Bob informs them that he possesses a SIM card that can aid him in determining their next steps and how to locate other surviving men. Alex discovers an antiquated mobile phone, enabling them to examine the card. They uncover a message that reads, "Wake up," but they do not fully comprehend the plan. Soon thereafter, Pip calls home and, using coded phrases, informs them that the organization has learned about Bob and a cleanup team is en route to the farm. Pip arrives home concurrently with the organization's personnel and finds her friends concealed nearby. They realize that Jamie's actions were imprudent, and now they must go into hiding. At that moment, an unidentified caller reaches Bob and provides him with the coordinates of the location where other men are situated. The group proceeds to the designated site, but remains uncertain of their subsequent actions. The coordinates lead them to a quarantine zone, once utilized for the cremation of male bodies, but nothing remains there now. At one point, Alex and Bobby go to the restroom. When suddenly Bobby notices a red dot on the girl's forehead, realizing she's being targeted by a sniper, the couple makes a run for it and heads back to the car. The huntress has tracked Bobby and is determined to kill him, but her friends are opposed to it. Pip, who's used to following the rules, sticks to the signs, which causes them to go in circles. This allows the huntress to take a few shots before they manage to drive off to a safer spot. Most of the roads are blocked, so they have to head to the annual menstruation celebration. The girls hide Bobby under old blankets, passing him off as a frail, elderly woman. Despite the danger to their lives, Pip continues to follow the rules and plays the obedient girl. Consequently, she relinquishes the vehicle keys, permitting the others to cleanse it. The group is compelled to conceal themselves amidst the festivities, an endeavor that proves increasingly arduous. In a bid to obscure Bobby and safeguard his true identity, Pip procures a pink cup costume. Amidst the throng of revelers, the group becomes separated, unable to locate one another. Pip proceeds to the tent designated for distributing gifts to young women but discerns that the huntress has also arrived at the celebration. Fleeing for her life, Pip enters the labyrinth of self-discovery, where she encounters Lane. Lane is aware that the three young women are harboring the last surviving male and demands his delivery to her before sunset. She warns that failure to comply will result in her, Jamie, and Alex facing a lifetime of exaltation, leading to a complete forfeiture of identity. Jamie observes one of the attendees, who bears a striking resemblance to her deceased husband, and trails her. This leads her to a Ferris wheel, where she finds herself seated beside a small girl. The height induces nausea in Jamie, and she suddenly apprehends the unlikely possibility of being pregnant. Alex assists Bobby in escaping the celebration but then spots her mother. The woman is disoriented and comprehends nothing, yet she becomes agitated upon seeing the huntress. As if recognizing her, Bobby is forced to flee and takes refuge in a mirrored maze. The huntress pursues him, and the reunited friends enter the maze after them. The reflective traps divide the friends, but they manage to reassemble. In one of the reflections, they observe that the huntress has captured Bobby and injected him to render him compliant. Unsure of how to find an exit, Pip employs a stratagem, marking each mirror with red paint. This enables the friends to escape the maze and spot the huntress driving Bobby toward her pickup truck. While Pip and Alex endeavor to retrieve the car keys to initiate the pursuit, Jamie overtakes the huntress's truck and leaps into the pickup's bed. Pip and Alex must set aside their disagreements to attempt to rescue their friends from the bounty hunter. During the chase of the pickup truck, Pip is hesitant to violate regulations and refrains from accelerating, allowing the huntress to elude them and retreat to her hidden lair to finally dispose of Bobby. Jamie, concealed in the truck bed, discovers several tranquilizer darts and a shovel. Infiltrating the huntress's lair, she assails her but hesitates. In a moment of chaos, Jamie accidentally strikes the huntress in the chest with one of the darts, temporarily incapacitating her. Fleeing the scene, Jamie confides in Bobby that she is pregnant. Trusting her intuition, Pip locates the huntress's hideout and a clue left by her friend. The group reunites by the bridge near the river, and it appears the worst is behind them. The friends propose returning to the location marked by the coordinates, but this time Bobby will proceed alone, as the men are awaiting their own kind and might have hidden upon seeing the women. As they deliberate the plan, Bobby, Alex, and Jamie remain unaware that Pip has betrayed them. Instead of guiding them to the coordinates, she leads them to Lane's residence to surrender the man and earn her superior's forgiveness. Alex and Jamie are confined to separate chambers, and soon Lane visits them, instructing them to change attire for the impending procedure. She intends to perform eternal exaltation on them so they lose touch with reality and no longer obstruct her authority. Alex implores Lane to spare the pregnant Jamie, but this merely incites a furious outburst from Lane. Meanwhile, Pip prepares for a gathering where she anticipates a career advancement. She is given a revealing evening gown but ultimately adds a black veil to her ensemble for modesty. At the table, Pip encounters the bound Bobby and attempts to justify her actions. Simultaneously, Constable Constance visits Alex. The constable desires to save the young woman because she loves her, but she cannot contravene the organization's directives. Realizing the inevitable end, Constance bids farewell to Alex. and both she and Jamie are escorted to the operating room where the doctor is poised to bore into their craniums. Meanwhile, Lane commands Bobby and Pip to engage in sexual intercourse. Bobby attempts to resist, but a mob of enraged women restrains him. Lane incites Bobby and orders Pip to sleep with him, threatening that her friends will suffer if she refuses. Pip agrees and ascends atop him, only to notice a pendant on Lane's neck, her friend's pendant. Realizing that Alex and Jamie are in peril, Pip defies Lane for the first time, and consequently she too is condemned to exaltation. Constance escorts Pip to the operating room and requests that the doctors commence her exaltation first. They decide to seek Lane's authorization, and the constable seizes this opportunity. She shoots the doctors in the back and then assists Pip in freeing Jamie and Alex. Going to extreme lengths for the woman she loves, Constance requests to be shot in the back of the head so Lane does not discover or punish her. Recognizing this as the ultimate act of devotion, Alex consents to shoot her beloved, and the three friends successfully escape, finding a hideout stocked with costumes, boots, and tasers. The young women prepare to do whatever it takes to thwart Lane and liberate Bobby. The following morning, the head of the organization transports Bobby to a clandestine hideout, but a cow appears in the roadway. It quickly becomes evident that this is a trap orchestrated by the three friends, who encircle the vehicle. They electrocute Lane to allow Bobby to escape, but he no longer trusts them. This enables Lane to recover and regain control of the situation, as she is the sole possessor of a firearm. Alex, Jamie, and Pip are prepared to sacrifice their lives for Bobby and stand in the line of fire. Displaying valor, Pip attacks Lane and the friends shock her again. While the three friends struggled with the head of the organization, Bobby had escaped. They realize he has gone to the place where it all began and hurry there. Bobby reaches the old locker room first and utters the code word, causing the steel door to retract. His companions rush in after him and the Huntress follows. The door seals shut, trapping them, yet the situation is more complex than it appears. The Huntress has no ill intentions. She aims to assist Bobby and shield him from an unseen peril. The chamber begins to fill with noxious gas, but the Huntress spots a ventilation shaft. She helps the three friends and Bobby ascend, then informs Alex that she knew her mother. Observing an identical tattoo on the Huntress's arm, Alex understands that the Huntress is benevolent and never meant them harm. As they flee the suffocating fumes, they crawl through the ventilation system, but at one point, Bobby becomes lodged and cannot advance. The quartet must force open the vent, leading to an astonishing discovery. They emerge into a room containing several men, all restrained and gagged. Their bodies are connected to milking machines extracting biological material. It becomes clear that the purported sanctuary for men is a deception, and Lane had acquired Bobby. Her objective is global domination through manipulating birth rates and exploiting individuals desperate for the continuation of the human lineage. The most chilling disclosure is that Lane's primary confederate and lover is Jackson, Jamie's husband, whom she believed to be deceased. Alex, Pip, Jamie, and Bobby grasp the grim reality of their predicament. If you enjoyed the recap, please leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.